So, I don't know if you guys caught the TV show The Connors. I know that it's probably not well received by people because they're pissed because Roseanne's no longer on the show, and now it's being ran by something called Gilbert TV, the production company that's apparently spearheaded by Sarah Gilbert, who plays crap. What's her name? Darlene on the show. There we go. um, it's still a decent show. I mean, I gave it a chance and watched it a little bit, and I said, well, it's still missing a very key component, i.e., Roseanne Connor is no longer in the show, so that it is missing its matriarch, and they're trying to replace it with Sarah Gilbert, which is all right, but I think her character on Big Bang Theory was better with the Hofstadter character. I forgot his name. Anyway, well, you know what I'm talking about. Plays David on Roseanne and Leonard Hofstadter on The Big Bang Theory. For some reason, his name is escaping me right now. But literally, I've followed these actors and actresses for years since their original TV show on the Roseanne Show when it was canceled originally. I was waiting for them to start up a new show, see what they would do, and obviously, the Big Bang Theory was one of the really good ones that involved the previous character David for his Leonard Hofstadter portrayal in the TV show Big Bang Theory, which was pretty good. I watched every season. I've seen it all the way up to the last season or current season, and even watched some of the Young Sheldon. Was not impressed with Young Sheldon, but Big Bang Theory was really good. I do still love the show very much so, even though they've had a lot of crazy things going on with the episode and the writers, and it started changing the storyline a little bit and leaving the viewers with much to be desired in the way of content. But still, it's a good show. I think they could have ended it in 7 seasons. I'm glad they took it on to about 10, but I think we're getting close to it being time to say goodbye to the Big Bang Theory cast, at least in that iteration. But that show is very near and dear to my heart. My mother, God rest her, we watched that show together during the first few seasons, and connected over that show for a few years after, and really I'm going to miss that show. So it's very entertaining to watch, and almost an easy escape from reality for those of you who just want to binge watch a TV show. Big Bang Theory is definitely binge watchable. Also, I did kind of want to touch a little bit on some of the other things they were talking about revolving around the Connors show, saying that it was almost despicable that they continued the show without Roseanne. Maybe so, but I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to connect with a new version of the TV show, or even in some small way trying to say, well, maybe they still deserve a little bit of viewership, because ultimately we don't have control over what they do or what they say. So kind of get what you pay for in that regard. I don't really agree with paying for TV service, but Hulu's not a bad stretch. I still pay for the TV shows and watching Hulu, and still have to watch ads if I get the cheaper end. The $5.99 version is kind of a ripoff, because you pay for a service and you still have to watch freaking ads, and they want you to pay a few dollars more to get rid of the ads. And I'm like, you're already pushing your luck by making me pay you $6, okay? 1 penny off from $6 does not make me feel any better, because I could get Netflix for that roughly a little bit more and not have to pay, not have to deal with any ads during my shows. And I could binge watch the hell out of all the TV shows on Netflix and not have to deal with any ads. So Hulu's got to clean their act up, or at least compete with the other contenders and have a reason for me to join their group in viewership, without paying for a subscription that has commercials added into the shows that last for, over a minute, and about 4 of them per episode. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't think it's fair, especially when I'm paying for your service. Maybe you should do that for free viewers, or for people who have free content from your channel, if that even exists anymore. So I don't think it does, personally. But yeah, I can't really complain much. I don't watch often. And when I do, it's usually 1 or 2 different shows. And the only reason I have Hulu is because you have the Orville on your listing there. So I don't have cable, so that's what I have to do. If I want to watch The Orville, I watch it on Hulu because that's the only place that has it. Netflix doesn't carry it. So, I mean, if they do, then they didn't when I was looking. So, yeah. And another good show to check out on Netflix if you want to do the Netflix thing, I think a really good one to check out is definitely Voltron Legendary Defender. Awesome show. DreamWorks put it out and did a very good job with it. It's got some top-notch voice acting, some top-notch animation, some really good color, and it's all around good show, and it's better than the original, I think, in some ways. They make Pidge a little less annoying, and Voltron seemed more believable in some cases for the show itself in the realm of Voltron. Not saying that it's even possible to be real, but the realism factor is at least somewhat achievable through believable reality in the storyline. So quite a good setup. And if I had to watch it over and over again, I wouldn't be bored at all. I would get tired of it eventually, but that would take a couple of years. So let's see. The next topic I want to cover, aside from TV shows and all that mess, I wanted to talk a little bit about, well, the music industry for just a moment. There are a lot of people in the music industry that take advantage of one another. And it's a very sad reality we have to deal with, because I myself am a musician and kind of threw away my entire future planning on music being a major player in my life. And it turned out to be precisely the opposite, only because, well, you have to win a popularity contest in music. And if you're different from everyone else, or if you're slightly ahead of your time, it can work really bad to say the least, to keep you from getting anywhere and getting any traction. So the bands I was in for a brief period of time, the bands that I did participate in, they were more interested in sex and drugs than they were actually art or craft of their musical talents of any kind. And if they were interested in just the music, they were inferiorly talented or not educated well enough to even join me in a band. So I now understand the solo career path, and I'm probably going to try to pursue that maybe in the future. Just know that some people need to understand that it's not easy in this industry. And the only way you're going to make it harder for someone who's struggling is by refusing to pay them for their craft. So that's like refusing to pay a doctor for his ability to solve your problems, which I think they've more than proven they can't solve any problems. So that's not really a good example. So let's move to another example. Right. Okay. So a plumber that can't fix a plumbing problem, do you pay him for his service, or do you say, well, this guy sucked at it and I'm going to give him a bad review and not pay him? That's what you're supposed to do in a competitive market. At least try to drive the real people out from the fake ones. Okay. So there's plenty of mainstream, like cookie cutter musicians out there. They all seem the same. They all sing about the same crap. They all use the same instruments, the same auto tune. They even use the same chord progressions, and they often regurgitate older music and just take it snippets by snippet and create something like a bootleg of the original music and call it a remix, and they even claim copyright on it. Kind of crazy, if you ask me. It's called sampling, but still, you didn't create the original work, so I believe you owe it to the artist that you're stealing snippets from to pay at least for the snippet you took. That's just my opinion. If you can't pick up an instrument or be bothered to write your own chord progression or sounds, then I don't believe it's fair to call you a musician. Maybe it's fair to call you a mixologist, but that's also another word used for bartenders. So they're mixologists, whatever. But the truth be told, you're just a DJ. If in that case, then you should call yourself what you are, a DJ, not a musician. If you can arrange things that other people write, then you're a composer. Okay? If you write the music for someone else and you arrange all the pieces together in a note symphony that you design yourself, then you are an actual composer to the definition of the word composition. So With that being said, laying out the definition of certain words, in my opinion, also is slightly skewed, I guess, because of my generation. I was born in '82. I'm just outside the realm of millennial status, and thank God for that. I just want to put some things out there for the so-called millennials. You guys are awesome people, and you're not alone. Okay, let's also understand that there's a generation in between you and the baby boomers. Okay, we are Generation X, and we're in between that. Now, I know there are some folks that call us millennials too, because we're just close enough to that listing to be lumped in with the millennial group, but it doesn't matter what generation you're from, okay? All that matters is that you're honest with yourself and that you try to do the best you can to make, well, anything better in your society. That's a contribution to society. If you feel like you're being unfairly treated, or you feel that you're being misrepresented by the group as a whole, then stand out and try to make your voice heard to prove that you've been misrepresented. We want to see that, because as far as I'm concerned, the most of the millennials that I've talked to are too PC minded. They're scared to offend people. They're offended by Jerry Springer, or they're offended by Seinfeld, or they're offended by old TV shows and cartoons. Like, come on, the cartoons were meant to bring up sensitive topics back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Those cartoons were built on that idea of bringing up hard to speak on topics and make fun of them, or even put them in a light of comedy. So it's easy to laugh at this thing, but it's not as easy to learn from it when you can't laugh at it. So if you can't shed light onto some things and take a joke and not be so serious, then you probably shouldn't have well, I shouldn't say that, but you should have the ability to joke and to at least laugh at yourself every once in a while, because being too serious can get into a relative loop and cause you to back yourself into a corner where things can get bad pretty quickly, and it's not good to be that way. It's actually better to try and, I don't know, enjoy yourself. And comedic value is not to be, skirted away so easily. You should be able to find the jokes in something. At least in some of the episodes of Seinfeld were hilarious to me. Especially the one with the guy in the restaurant, the so-called soup Nazi. Very funny episodes ensued from that skit. Same thing with anything to do with Kramer Cosmo in the show, the character Kramer. Very funny show. Now, those people as individuals outside the show Seinfeld may have done some questionable things, but they are human, just like the rest of us. We all make mistakes. We all do stupid things, and we would do well to know that just because yours aren't broadcast on national television doesn't mean you don't make them. And the same thing is to be said about social media. Just because your mistakes aren't broadly, put out there for everyone to see and read, to see and read, doesn't mean that you're any better than anyone else that made the same mistake or has made the mistake in the past. You're not perfect. No one is. Not even me. No one's perfect. And I'm aware of that. So the big part of what we need to learn as a society growing up into the future, we're going to be taking this place over pretty soon. In a couple of decades, maybe more, depending on how long the oldies hold on to their positions. Okay, so the idea is you're going to become oldies as well. Just like the rest of us, we're going to age, and the rest of them, we're going to get old like they are, and we're going to be looked at and made fun of and talked about in the same manner that we're talking about them in the future. So have the foresight and the understanding to know that just because you're young doesn't make you right. And just because you're old doesn't make you untouchable. And just because you're educated doesn't make you smart. Just because you're intelligent doesn't give you the right to have a soapbox to stand on to throw epithet at other people. We need to learn to commingle and coexist with each other. Okay, it's very easy to do that as long as we all get along on certain things. Well, even if we don't get along, we need to learn to live and let live. to allow someone else's mistakes to be made, because without learning from our mistakes, what do we have? We have no way of moving forward. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is a good thing because it teaches you what not to do the next time. The only thing I can see where your failure could be a detriment is if you never learn from it. If you can keep making the same mistake, expecting different results, you're insane. Okay? Look up the definition of insanity. If you understand that failure is a teaching tool and learning is a result of failure, then you need to understand exactly what I'm talking about. That it's very efficient to learn from your mistakes. Very good to learn from your mistakes. But it's also very hard to do that if you have no comparison by which to make your assessment. So each person in our society knows who they are, or at least has an idea. So the best way to figure out who you are and to make certain of those ideas that you are right, or at least halfway there, is to try and apply the scientific method to your own life and to your own existence. What do you see, and what do you see needs improvement? What do you see that you can grow on? Where can you make things better? How can you make things more efficient for other people like you? Why is it, do you think, that no one's talking about the simple things in life? If there are some things you see that aren't occurring on YouTube, then use the format for what it is. Go ahead and get on there, open up your own channel, and start talking about those things you don't see on YouTube, like I do. Not hard to do that, to try and put your own word out there, because your opinion does matter, just like mine. And if we all help together, we can teach this artificial intelligence, we can teach this AI to learn what humanity is all about. Because the more we do this, the more we are visible, the more the AI watches and pays attention to us and understands what we're saying. Because without understanding of the human condition, they won't know what we are, and they won't know or understand who or why we're doing what we're doing, who or why we are what we are, and what the goal of any of this is, if not to make life easier for you. So, I mean, because we all know life's already hard enough. So I just want to end the video with saying that this was just a thoughts video. I didn't title it anything. It's just the Rayne Show. So I want to say happy, what day is it? Tuesday to everybody. And I hope you guys have a good day. And thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, so you can get notifications on new videos and for upcoming live streams. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great one. And don't forget